Hi, everyone. Today we are going or today's thing is going to focus on assessing whether or not you should be using a source. I found this cool acronym. It's called CRAP, which is, I'm an old man. I find that funny. But yeah, we'll talk about that so that it will hopefully help y'all out. So as we're doing research, you can't trust the first thing you see. All y'all know about this. You've heard about fake news and stuff like that. But really, we don't talk enough about how to assess whether or not something's good. The Central Michigan University Libraries has this acronym to use called CRAP to assess whether or not a source is something to be used. So the C stands for currency, meaning is this a current article or is this a current source? For the most part, we should, like talking about stereotype, threat, or equity, that's a very current issue, right? It's a right now issue, but we've been talking about it for a while. The problem is that the older the texts get, the different mindsets they have when they were written. Right now, there's arguments about Project 1619, 1619, which looks at history with the focus of American history with the focus of slavery, from the focus of slavery. That's very current, that's very new. If we're looking at history that was, the way history was taught 30 years ago, the focus was definitely not on slavery or racism. So times change, focuses change, the currency of the information is kind of important. So you got to see if it's within the last 10 years normally. Relevance, does this information apply to what you're looking for? This is huge when we go into the actual databases. We're going to be constantly looking for, can I use this, is basically the translation for relevancy is, can I use it? Does it apply to what I'm writing about? Authority, it's the second A, or the first A here. Authority is the source where it comes from. And it says, who is the author, publisher, source, or sponsor? Those are actually very important things to look for. And I'll show you some examples of whether or not they're trustworthy. As far as like them existing, like the information needs to be there. If it's not there, that becomes a little problematic. The next A is accuracy. Is it reliable? Is it truthful? Where does the source come from? Is it correct? Are they actually doing what we're doing? Our information is correct because we are coming with evidence. We are giving you sources in our writing to say, hey, I'm not making this up. So those of you that have been avoiding doing quotes or don't like quoting, here's the thing. I can't tell if you're making stuff up or not. And if I can't tell, I automatically don't trust you. That's why we're trying to be accurate. That's why we're using evidence, is to show that we are being truthful. And then finally, the purpose. What is the purpose for the information? Is it to inform, teach, sell, or persuade? We're going to talk about that in a second. But that's huge. That is a huge part of just like, it's a huge reason why doing random Google searches doesn't work, right? My favorite example is, first and foremost, is new share, is just the domain names of sources. So you have .com, you have .org, you have .net, there's also .edu, there's also .gov. What these things mean actually is kind of huge, and it is kind of telling if we're paying attention to it. .com means commercial, which means that they are a business. They are a business, and their job is to sell something. If their job is to sell something, that might not necessarily be trustworthy. They like, just because it sells doesn't mean that it's good or truthful. That's a huge thing. Cigarettes, great seller. Are they healthy? No, not at all. But the point of it is to sell. That's the main thing. .org is more general. A lot of people will believe in .orgs. Organization is what this means. And really what it is saying is that they are organized in some way, shape, or form. The favorite example that I always like to point to, that librarians across the nation used to point to for .orgs and how they're not trustworthy, how they're not all trustworthy, is martinlutherking.org. It finally went down a couple of years ago, but that website had been up since the beginning of the internet, really. And that website was a racist website against Martin Luther King. I'm not saying it's racist because it was against Martin Luther King. I'm saying it was racist because it was run by Stormfront, which is a white supremacist group. And the things that they said about Martin Luther King were definitely not factual and were totally racist. So yeah, this net.net equals network. Here's the thing. This is just the same as being organized. This means that there's a bunch of people, like a bunch of websites together, or a bunch of people collaborated to do this. That's not even truthful necessarily. .edu is education, meaning the purpose of this website is not to sell you anything. It's not to get you organized or not to get you to network. The purpose of this website is to educate. And in this one, it's .gov is government. Basically, this is a public service. These last two, .edu and .gov, these are supposed to be public services. By that, I mean you, by paying taxes, have already paid for it. They're not trying to get money out of you. They've already gotten it. It's called taxes. So yeah, that is just to look at the general idea behind the different sources of just the Google search. If we look at things like the internet here, if you look at CNN, now remember the first thing on CNN is it's a .com, meaning they are trying to sell you something. And notice the first thing that pops up on CNN right here is an advertisement, because their job isn't necessarily to tell you the news. Their job is to sell you the news, right? Is you go on here for, to get some information, but the only way this information exists is if these ads exist too. That's the point of this website, not to inform you, but to sell this, to have a space for this. This pays for all of this information here, which is good. Notice here's another ad right here. Here's an ad. Sometimes they'll even throw in ads that look like articles. Let's see if I can find one. Notice regular picture for an article, almost the same size for the ad. Well, I can't find any off the top of my head through a quick search, but I'm not saying that you can't trust these things. I'm saying that know that they have an agenda. If I click on this, you definitely see that there is an author, which is great. Then you have all this information. Notice all the ads that are part of it, all the ads that are connected to it.
Images among many that we've seen during the Capitol Hill.
It's playing some stuff here. I'm scrolling down to see if there is an about the author thing, and there is not. There's just a bunch of gross whatevers, but there is a link to the author's page. And you can get a full bio. So we can know a little bit about whether or not this author is trustworthy. He's been a CNN reporter since 2015. This is all the stuff that he's done. Great. Now we have Fox over here. Again, it's a .com. It's a .com. Already not too trustworthy because they're just trying to sell you stuff, right? If I click on just the first article that's over here, we do have an author, which is great. Again, ads, and more ads.
This cube-shaped pillow, and I'm
which is fine. So, I mean, for the most part, this is the same thing as CNN. There's more detail as far as accuracy and stuff that go along with it. Notice there's no about the author. You're going to have to dig for that. You need to know more about Brooks Singman over here. Here's something that shows you it might not be trustworthy. Whereas that bio on CNN like explained a lot, this one says she is a politics reporter for Fox News. Followed her on Twitter. Who's more trustworthy? And I don't know this stuff going in. I'm just doing some random clicks. Let's see if, no, I can't even click on that. So yeah. I have over here npr.org. Notice less ads, which is nice. It's a .org, which is good. Let me click on the first article here. We have the author. Let's see if there's an about the author. There's links. I didn't point this out. You want to make sure that there's links to other sources because they need to share where they got their information from, which is fine. We have that contributor reporting from blah, blah, blah. I think that there's less ads, definitely. Let's see where this takes us. And then we have a longer bio. Actually, this is longer than even CNN. So we can see if we trust this author. Fox didn't give us much to trust. So maybe not Fox. We might not want to trust Fox. Let's see here. Let's go back to our crap. So currency, relevance, like I said, we'll go over that. Authority, we hit on that. Accuracy and purpose, we hit on all of those things. This is just bare bones tests to see whether or not you should trust whatever it is that you're reading. If they can't put their name behind it, then it's not trustworthy. If they can't show that they have a track record of doing this kind of work, then it's probably not trustworthy. So you have to kind of go through this process and make sure that everything's okay if you're doing a regular Google search. All right, that is accuracy. We'll talk more about stuff later. Thank you. Bye.